Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to the channel. Now if you're new here, do consider subscribing if you want to see more content like this. And for my followers, if there's anything that you think that you want to see on this channel, do let me know. Give me some tips as well on that front. Now today I was doing a product review, and one of the B-roll shots that I was doing involved a time lapse, and this is what that piece of time lapse looks like. Okay, so I said, you know what, someone is bound to ask me how I did that shot or how I created that shot. So I said, let me go ahead and be easy to punch and just show you how I did that. So first of all, I'm going to show you how I shot it, and then I'm going to show you how I edited it. Now for editing, I use two software. I use Lightroom and I use Photoshop. But let's go and shoot the product, and then we'll come back and get into the editing. Okay guys, so let me just start by giving you the setup. Let me break this down for you real quick. So we have a one light overhead that is lighting the product and also the background as well. We just have this on a white surface, so we have some light bouncing back up and just filling in this really nicely. Okay, so over here we have the Canon 5D Mark III with a 50mm 1.2 lens. I'm currently shooting at f13 on this one, ISO 200. Okay, so when doing time lapses like these, there are three main factors to take into consideration. One is the light. The light needs to be constant, and that should never change at any point. And this is why I'm not using any natural lighting today, because I have full control over this constant light that's going to stay throughout this series of photos that we are going to take. So the second key thing is that this camera should not be moving at any point. So I've got this locked off nicely on a tripod, so that's not going to be moving anywhere. And thirdly, the camera is set to manual and the lens is also locked off. The focus is set and is switched to manual, so the focus isn't going to rack at any point. A couple other things that are going to give you even better results here is that we're going to try to keep this in place as much as possible. We're going to try not to knock it as we adjust the jaws up and down. Also, I'm using a remote shutter release for the camera, so I'm not touching the camera every time I want to take a picture. Also, it makes it a lot quicker. If I was further away from the camera where I don't have access or easy access to it right now, I can release the shutter whilst I'm doing what I need to do and I'm not moving backwards and forwards. Also, for purposes of this demonstration, where I'm sitting, I'm casting some shadows as I move my hands, and my head is casting some shadows on the background as well. You might not be able to see it on this shot, but try to avoid that as well. So normally I'd be as far away as I can. I'll remove myself, I take a shot, make my adjustment, remove myself, take a shot, etc, etc. Okay, so now that we have everything set up, we're ready to go. I want to take my first picture. So my starting point is where the jaws are fully closed, and I'm going to put it into that position. I'm going to move away, release the shutter, take my first picture. So next I'm just going to open the jaws a little bit and take another picture, open it a little bit more and take another picture, etc, etc, etc. A key tip to note here, right, is that every time you make an adjustment, try to make it constant. So the next time you make that adjustment, if you did half a turn, you do half a turn. If you did a full turn, then the next shot you do a full turn, etc. And that's going to make it go a lot more smoother. And to be honest, the smaller the movements are and the more photographs there are, the more smoother the end video or the end product is going to be. Okay, cool. So now we have all the photos that we're going to need. We're going to jump back onto the computer and I'm going to take you through the process about how you create a video from these images. Okay, so now I've loaded all those images that we shot into my project folder, and now what we're going to do is import them into Lightroom and get going from there. Let's jump into the computer to show you how that's done. Okay guys, so we are in Adobe Lightroom Classic 2020, so that's part of the Adobe Creative Cloud suite, and we have all of our images. So in total I shot about 46 images and we have them here in our grid. So I'm just going to run through these in this view and just to show you what we already have. So if we were to just go through these images sequentially, we can see we have all the images that we took. Okay guys, so this is the point where if you want to make any global refinements to your image, you should go ahead and do that just now. So you can change things like color temperature, exposure, highlights, you know, all that good stuff that you would do for any one particular image. And then what you can do is just copy those settings for that one image and just paste them onto all of your other images, and everything is going to be looking uniform. So again, remember that you need to apply whatever change you made to one image. That's going to be the same for all of the images in the sequence, just like how we did back when we were shooting the images. We need to remain at a constant for this. And what we want to do is export our images. We go right click, export, and that's going to bring up your dialog box. So you're going to choose wherever it is you want to save those images. And the most important and a very important step in this point is your file naming. So your files need to be in a sequential order from 1 to however many images there are. So one of the things that I like to do is come here into your custom settings, custom name sequence. And if we edit this, we are presented with different options. So for example, in the sequence and date here, you can see if you have hundreds of images, you probably should be using this one. If you have thousands, and so on and so forth. In this case, we have just 2 digits. So I'll be using this one in particular. So we just hit done, create a custom prefix to your liking. I usually set the JPEG image quality. So we're going to be uploading these as JPEGs, by the way. So set to JPEG, I set my quality, I leave it at 100. And what I would want to do is just change that to 72. We don't really need it at 240 pixels. And that is about it. We then hit the export button, and now we are ready for the next stage. The next part of it is going to take place in Photoshop. So what we're going to do is open Photoshop, and if we go to File, Open, and this time we're going to browse. So we're going to browse to our images where we've saved them. And what we're going to do is click on the first image. And as you can see here, we have the images in sequence. We have 01, 02, etc. The important thing that we need to do here is hit image sequence. So select the first image, hit image sequence, and we click open. It's going to ask you what frame rate you want. I'm using 23.976. Whatever frame rate is your preference, that's what you should use here. Okay, so now we are in Photoshop, and what that's done, it's put all of the images that we have in a sequence. And if we have the timeline window open, as we can see at the bottom here, and we press play through, this will go through and render this out. And after it's done the first pass rendering, you'll see it'll have much smoother playback when we get to the end. But just in the meantime, as it's doing that, if you don't see this timeline window, what we can do is go up to this point right here, and we can select motion. For example, if you're in Essentials window, if you select motion, you'd be presented with this timeline window. So now if we come back down to the timeline and we bring the player back from the start and we play that, we have a much smoother playback. And that is essentially your video. So what you would want to do now is go to File, Export, Render Video. So you render video, is going to ask you where you want to save it. I just keep all those settings the same, H.264 high quality. I would render that, and that video is saved for you in your folder, ready for you to use in your Premiere Pro project or otherwise. Okay guys, so that is just another technique that you could use to keep your content nice and fresh. So if you found this video helpful, do give me a thumbs up, leave a comment, let me know what you think. And if you do create anything, drop me a link, because I would want to see what you guys create yourselves. And make sure you hit that subscribe button and the bell notification to keep up to date with all the content that I'll be posting on my channel. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.